Well, Sean, I guess you don't want to be perfect at this time of the season, but how good was Sunday's performance?
It wasn't perfect. The scoreline suggests that it was pretty comprehensive. I think all the stats sort of suggest that as well. But in the cold light of day, when you look at the second half, we didn't really ram it home, perhaps as we should have. A lot of opportunities, particularly from our line of attack, which went awry, and that was frustrating. But having said that, we put in such a good performance up for sort of 60 minutes that you can't be too displeased. So yeah, still things to work on. But I have to say the defensive display was perhaps the most pleasing thing. The last 4 games at Ashton Gate, we've conceded 16 points, 12 points, 8 points, and now 0 points. So that's a pretty positive trend. And one we've been working very hard at, and the players have been working hard at. So, it's still spinning plates, but some positives, yeah.
One thing you often talk about is the 80-minute performance. So, you're suggesting that you didn't quite get that, an hour or so at the weekend?
Well, I think the scoreline suggests that, doesn't it? 28-0, only 7-0 in the second half, and they spent a period with 14 men. So we need to be a little bit more accurate in that red zone. Keep sort of focused, mentally focused to ram it home, if you like, And perhaps the supporters wouldn't have realised it because we've got such a good win, but it would have been really great to extend that. That's being hypercritical. It just gives us still some areas to work on.
You talk obviously a lot about the defence. To finally nail that, that must have been so pleasing. And the numbers you talk about there are hugely impressive. And obviously there's nowhere to go now after 0, but to have got down to that to that level is fantastic, isn't it?
I said to the fellas this morning, how do we get a minus figure next time we play at home? No, look, it's just keeping our discipline, keeping our shape, working hard. And I think the fellas, all of the fellas on the field there on the weekend were working together, and that's very, very important in our game. And defensively, at times we haven't been working together, and our turnover rate has sort of added to line breaks and tries conceded. But that was particularly pleasing on the weekend, that even when there was a turnover and a line break, we got back and consolidated our defensive shape, and it was good. So we defended the set piece well too. I think our maul defence was good, and that's a huge threat in this league. And again, the fellas are working really hard on that.
Going from one calendar year into another is often a good time to reflect. Are you happy with where you are? Top of the table would suggest you are, but in terms of performance and the overall, I guess the cohesion of the squad and everything, are you satisfied at the moment?
I'm pleased that we're gathering momentum. I think I'm more pleased at this stage that we've had a lot of things, trials and tribulations, than the previous 2 seasons. I think we've got to this stage in the previous 2 seasons and a lot has been plain sailing, whereas I think sometimes in adversity you learn a little bit more about yourself, and we've had that in the first half of the season. The World Cup, losing the first game of the season, we've had some disciplinary issues, we've had some injuries, and and we've been really tested by a league that I think is more keenly contested by more teams this year. So I think all of those have added to our focus. So I'm happy with where we are mentally. Physically, I'm happy. When you think that we have Dwayne Peel, Ian Evans to come back, Marco Mama after his loan spell, Ollie Robinson, we're starting to get some game time into our hookers, which is really, really good. Then we're in a pretty good place at the moment, and of course we sat at the top of the league, which is where you want to be.
You talk about a more competitive championship in terms of more teams, I guess, being in that group. Nottingham would probably fall into that category, along with sides such as Bedford and Doncaster, who have really started the season well. So Saturday's game is it's by no means a foregone conclusion, is it?
No disrespect to London Welsh, but we're approaching this as a much sterner challenge. The league table tells you that. Nottingham's performance against us at Ashton Gate tells you that. They're hanging in games. They're a tough, nuggety side. They score tries, and they're a difficult side. We're going up on a difficult pitch. And again, this time of year, the boys have put a lot of work in, and then there's 2 B&I weeks after. So there's a lot at stake for us, and we need to really sharpen the focus. It's quite a quick turnaround again. And we're well aware of the challenge. Nottingham are a good side and a very dangerous side. So we're trying to prepare as best we can to be completely 100% focused on what they're going to bring.